and Mr. Masamba Thioe, Project Executive of UGIH. I will not waste much time and invite Mr. Masamba Thioe to give the welcoming remarks.
Thank you so much. Good morning to all of you. Professor Sachs, thank you for having you with us. It is really my pleasure to welcome you to this session of the UN Climate Change Global Innovation Hub, focusing on cities, climate action, and climate sustainability by cities. The UN Climate Change Global Innovation Hub is an initiative of the UNFCCC Secretariat launched at COP26 in Glasgow with a one-fold vision, how innovation can be leveraged to serve the many people and the planet. What is really specific to the Global Innovation Hub is that our focus is not on how do we decarbonize the industrial sector, but more on how innovation can address the needs of the many people in terms of nutrition and health, shelter, access to products and services, mobility, leisure, and so on. And then you can understand why cities are important for us, why counties and human settlement in general are important for us. This is because we have this human-centric approach to innovation. What happened is that we have incentive instrument to facilitate GHG emission reduction at the sectoral level, but we do not have an incentive instrument to facilitate climate and sustainability action at the city level. Yet, this is where people are, yet this is where we have the most transformative type of climate and sustainability action. But this is why, to fill that gap, the UN Climate Change Global Innovation Hub has invited several organizations to put in place a coalition and launch a city challenge that we are expected to start at COP30 in Brazil. But the initial discussion and the announcement, we want this to be done here. So to implement this city challenge, we have brought around this project very important organizations that have important role to play in this challenge. If we want cities to meaningfully participate to this challenge, we need to incentivize them. We need a prize. So this is why we are working closely with X Prize, which is one of the organizations with the deepest experience in that area, fundraising to finance prize. But incentivizing cities is not enough. We have to enable them because they may be willing to act, but if they do not have the capability to act, nothing will happen. So it is important to enable them. For that, we have been very privileged to have the collaboration of UNSDSN, who will contribute in several aspects. First, they are working in putting in place a fund that could facilitate access to low-cost finance for cities, because we all know that if there is no access to low-cost finance, nothing will happen, because it's one of the key barriers for climate and sustainability action. But also we will support them in identifying where they are, formulating their vision, as well as the paceway to move from where they are currently and where they would like to be moving forward. And on that aspect, Professor Pondry has undertaken in her laboratory and with her team a huge wealth of work, research, and experience that can benefit the city challenge. And we have many other partners that are working with us on the city challenge. We have here the County Association of Germany. We have JESI, which is Association of Tech Companies. They are solution provider. And we have many other entities, research centers, as well as Association of Financiers that are willing to join the coalition so that we can launch at COP30 this initiative. So without further ado, I will give the floor to Professor Sachs for his keynote speech. Professor, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and what a great opportunity to discuss this wonderful initiative. I think the background should be clear to everybody, and it involves both the outsized role of cities in world economy and society, and also the role of cities in terms of governance. We know that today about 60% of the world population lives in cities. This is, by the way, unusual in human history because cities constituted throughout human history less than 10% of human settlement until the Industrial Revolution. So this is something new for us as humanity, an urban-based civilization. And we reached the 50% mark sometime around 2007, according to the UN data, where for the first time in human history, half of the world was living in cities. Now it's about 60%. And it will be at least 70% by mid-century, but I think even higher than that, because the rate of mechanization of agriculture will continue. And that means that more and more of the world's food production will be done by a smaller and smaller proportion of the world's working population, and the rest will find their employment and their livelihoods and their lives in cities. So we're moving towards a world in which 70 or 80% of the world population lives in cities within the next generation. And economically, it's estimated that around 80% of world GDP or world output already is in cities. And this means a comparable proportion of global emissions of carbon dioxide from energy systems in cities. Cities play an enormous role in society, in economy, and in the environmental challenge. From a governance point of view, cities also clearly are a locus of political, collective, public service provision. Because when people live in cities, it's also in cities where transport, water and sanitation, power grid, power distribution, digital access, and other critical infrastructure become essential. And I'd say that the mayors of the world, even more than the national leaders, are at the real interface between households and their needs. And so everywhere you turn in the world, it's cities and their local governments that are grappling with these challenges. This X Prize and this coalition of UNFCCC, X Prize, UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and others aims to provide a major spur to city action, a major empowerment to city actions. And here I want to mention one other point. Cities have responsibilities typically that are far larger than their authority to implement the solutions. So cities are called upon to do tremendous things without the tax authority or the political authority or the regulatory authority to actually get those things done. That is a point that is common throughout the world. In almost every place in the world, the predominant, if not exclusive, tax authority is at the national government level, but the day-to-day responsibilities are at the city level. And so we have huge challenges of aligning public financing with public responsibility. And aligning different levels of government is not a simple matter. There's another historical perspective that I think is interesting and important, and especially relevant for our African colleagues here. And that is because if you look in history, it's generally the case that in Europe and in, I'd say, Central and East Asia, cities typically emerged before the national governments that we have today. Phoebe Kunduri is a professor in Athens. Athens was a city-state already 2,600 years ago, way before there was Greece. There was an idea of Greece, Hellas, sometime around that time, but Greece was city-states. So Athens goes back a very long time, 2,600 years. And Athens has some authority as a result of that. And throughout Europe, there were major cities that were free cities and self-standing cities for at least 1,000 years, if not longer, that have even tax authority and regulatory authority. It's more true in Africa that the national governments came before the cities rose to the level and population that they are now. So I'm told, and I stand to be corrected, but I've been told in many places in Africa by mayors, we have no authority right now. We don't have the ability to implement. We don't have the tax authority. We don't have the responsibility, but we have the voters on our necks, and we have the daily challenge of making sure that the power grid is working and the transport is working and the public security is working. But the balance of power from city and national government is out of line because the history is different. The history is Africa was, until 50 years ago, much more rural, and because of the colonial history and so forth as well, the national governments came first. Of course, there were cities, but they were much, much, much smaller in population, and they did not have independent political histories and political authority. So this is one structural element of politics in Africa, and not only in Africa, that I think also will change over time, which is a greater power and role of the cities, a change in constitutional power and ability to finance that is important. One of the lessons, by the way, of China's success in the last 40 years, or now it's 45 years since the opening of the Chinese economy, a tremendous amount of growth came from the local development efforts of cities that own their own land so that they could make their own tax systems or their own financial arrangements that enabled them to do local development in competition with other cities. So there was a lot of bottom-up, not only top-down development success that was reflected in this very rapid growth. So all of this is to say the cities have a huge role to play. The cities have a huge governance role to play, but they don't necessarily have the commensurate political responsibilities, fiscal capacities, or actually the design strategies and plans in place to carry out this role. This initiative aims to empower cities to take on greater challenges and to help solve these problems, playing a lead role on climate action. One parallel initiative that I'd like to mention briefly is that the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network has been hosting a high-level commission of mayors from around the world on urban financing of climate action. And this is a commission that has been co-chaired by the mayors of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, and the mayors of Rio de Janeiro, Eduardo Paes. And they will issue their report at the Brazil G20, which is coming up just in days. And the main proposal of the report is to create new instruments for urban financing of climate action. Stay tuned. The first one of these, I believe, will be in Latin America. Probably, well, I shouldn't pre-announce what I'm not sure will be announced, but I think one of the regional development banks will host a kind of credit guarantee fund for cities so that cities can gain access to the financing needed for directly city level projects, both on energy system transformation and on climate adaptation and resilience. So this is something that if it gets off the ground, as I think it will, I'd like to see the African Development Bank and other regional development banks take up quickly so that we can also pair this initiative on getting cities to put forward plans of action with a parallel initiative, a complementary initiative on ensuring that cities have access to the long-term, low-cost capital that they'll need in order to carry out those projects. So thank you very much for the wonderful initiative. SDSN is thrilled to partner with all of the originators of this project, and with, of course, always with the UNFCCC as our guide in all of what we need to do for climate action. And to all of the people living and working in cities and helping to lead them, let's make a great success of this initiative. Thank you very much.
So we will now move to our next activity, which is a panel discussion. And I will invite the different panelists to join the podium. So Professor Phoebe is already at the podium. Our other panelist is Mr. Mayor Lee. We invite you to join the podium. So we have online the council member, Mr. Yahweh Samuel, David Babson from XPRIZE, and then Freedom Kai. I don't know whether Freedom is already in the room. I do not see Freedom. Maybe he'll join us later. Matias, if you can join the podium. And Jonas, I don't know whether Jonas has already joined the...
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, great. So I will first request you to provide introductory remark. So I'll give the floor first to Professor Condori, who will provide some initial thought about this initiative. So you have heard what Professor Sachs said. So please give us your reaction.
Thank you so much, Masaba. So if I can have my slides, what I aim to do for the next 5 minutes is just to give you a description of what we are already doing in 150 regions in Europe. So this is the Alliance of Excellence for Research and Innovation on IFORIA that I chair. And the project that I'm gonna talk about is one of the many that we are working on this alliance. And all that we do and people within the UNFCCC Innovation Hub know about this structure is that all our efforts are under this interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary structure, which makes the SDSN Global Climate Hub, and it's an approach to achieving resilience and climate neutrality at different scales. So the first effort is directed towards interdisciplinary mathematical modeling of all the involved systems, Earth systems and socioeconomic systems, integrating the solutions and developing pathways from where you are to where you want to go. And of course, throughout this process, a constant open co-design dialogue with the relevant stakeholders in the city, in the region, in the country, in the international region defined. And all of this gathered on a digital application infrastructure that brings together the data, the models, the results, and many tools that allow the stakeholders to understand the models, to understand the results, and to visualize the effects on them. I want to concentrate on one of the more than 100 projects that we have under the Global Climate Hub and IFORIA. And this is about exactly building pathways to resilience for regions. And it's one of the flagship projects of EU missions under adaptation to climate change. So the objective of this project, Pathways to Resilience, is to empower at least 150 European regions and communities Sometimes it's cities, sometimes it's regions, sometimes are local authorities, local communities to design climate resilience pathways by 2030. This means an explicit adaptation strategy that helps better understand climate risk, develop pathways to better prepare and cope with climate change, and identify transformative, innovative solutions to build resilience. This is a 30 million project looking to empower at least 100 cities. We are working with 150 communities and regions, we call them. And the idea is that the 21 million are reserved for funding for regional projects through public calls. So we work with cities, communities, and regions in order to give them better understanding and preparedness for managing climate risk, heat waves, forest fires, droughts, floods, storms, and diseases, design a vision and innovation pathway, and develop enabling conditions and solutions, and upscaling solutions that trigger transformative change, that allow developing and enabling conditions and solutions. Again, 20 million allocated to sub-grants for the regions and the cities, more than 100 regions, plus, and this is important, 10 innovation practice group and finance labs, which work throughout the project and will stay within the regions and the city, and their job is to increase knowledge and conceptualize sustainable and adaptation solutions. So we have 10 hubs across Europe that build the capacity, continuously build the capacity of a city, of a region to actually continuously refine the co-design action plan for climate adaptation. The process is very well spelled out in a lot of detail. We build a strong mandate, we understand the system, we co-design a portfolio, we take action, we learn and reflect and make it happen. And then a second round with preparedness and building a shared vision, designing the actual detailed pathways, take action, learn, and then make it the new normal. And in this whole regional resilience project, we have a big support program with group training sessions and deep dive sessions and P2R climate toolbox, which can be made available for our initiative here with Masaba, peer-to-peer mentoring, innovation practice groups, finance innovation labs, sense-making, learning and evaluation that Dr. Epunaki is leading, and one-to-one dedicated support. These are the cities and regions across Europe that we work on. And with regards to the resilience finance resources, we built investment plan, giving plan guidance and through plan templates. With regards to capacity building materials, we have finance catalogs, deep dive on local economic systems, peer-led mentoring, training programs, innovation practice groups, one-to-one support, and all of this is integrated in the Adaptation Finance Lab. And finally, the toolbox that we've developed, it provides additional tools and guidance and case studies that showcase how you actually go about into a city, design the plan, and implement the plan. So all of these methods and toolboxes and blueprints and guidance documents will be made available for the Innovation Hub initiative. And we hope that this experience in Europe, which will be completed, this project will be completed in 3 years, will form a solid background to be used and, of course, refined and updated in the Climate Innovations Hub initiative for the cities. Thank you.
Thank you, Phoebe, for your presentation, sharing with us initial reaction. Indeed, you have experience and a tool that can be extremely useful for the city challenge. I will give the floor to David Babson from XPRIZE so that he also share their experience and show the relevance of XPRIZE to the city challenge. You have the floor.
That's great. If you could bring up my slides, I have the thing here as well. I want to put everyone in the mindset of what XPRIZE does. It's good to follow the professor who has these amazing solutions that she's working on. To highlight that what XPRIZE does is that we don't bring the solutions to challenges. We actually work to identify what are the big challenges and then design global competitions that effectively incentivize the right type of offerers of the solutions to accelerate progress towards achieving really ambitious outcomes. So let me just start, to give some background on XPRIZE. Our mission is to inspire and empower humanity to achieve breakthroughs that accelerate an abundant and equitable future for all. We started with this first prize. The first XPRIZE was the Ansari Space Prize. So this is to understand kind of the origin story of XPRIZE. When this prize was launched, the only entities that could go to space were governments. And in order to imagine a future where private commercial innovation could accelerate and offer new opportunities in space, we needed to break down that perception that only governments could go to space. We needed to demonstrate that the private sector could do that. And this prize was very simple, was to take a private spacecraft, fly to space, return, and then travel to space again within 2 weeks. It was a $10 million prize, but it unlocked over $100 million of capital to win it. And that is the power of a prize competition, is to systematically unlock private capital to be directed towards accelerated innovation. Today, there is over $1 trillion private space industry because of this first prize. So this is just the example of the power of what we can do here. And over the past 30 years, we've run 30 prizes in a number of different areas in health and climate and energy, in biodiversity and conservation, and so on. And so this cities challenge is really an exciting opportunity for us. As I said, our approach is not to identify the solutions. It is to identify the challenges, to set audacious but achievable goals, have the prize design incentivize and crowdsource the viable solutions, and to build an effective ecosystem so that the investments in that space can actually promote this scaling of these solutions for impact. One example I will give in this space is the Carbon Removal XPRIZE, which we will announce the winner of Earth Day 2025, April 2025, so just a few months away. The idea here is that we knew that we needed to have a mechanism to build a large negative emissions industry, because we are unable to meet our global temperature targets without an enormous amount of carbon dioxide removal. And so this ecosystem didn't exist, and the demonstrable large-scale pathways didn't exist. So we launched this prize to be able to demonstrate pathways that could remove carbon effectively and at large scale. And we will be announcing the winner, as I said, in April 2025. Now, we have an enormous opportunity, as the professor that spoke earlier said. 80% of our global population is going to live in cities by mid-century. And we need to be able to tap into the innovation of these diverse communities from around the world to increase their ambition for what their sustainable future looks like and equip them with the technologies and the capacity to achieve really ambitious targets. And that is the whole purpose of this prize concept that Masamba has developed. The idea is very simple that he has come up with. It's a three-phased approach whereby the actual mechanism is a container for a number of innovation X prizes. In the first phase, the goal will be to recruit and develop cities' visions for the future, and to identify a gap analysis for the types of things that they would need to achieve their visions that are lacking. In the second phase, this is where X Prize would come in. Using the information from that gap analysis, we can identify the big challenges that need to be taken down through prize competitions, and we can design strategically prize competitions in a number of different areas to be able to achieve them. We've identified these particular areas that we could use as tracks, and you could imagine there being a number of prizes in each one of these. So this is an enormous undertaking to be able to identify the biggest challenges, design prizes, launch prizes, and run prizes to accelerate innovation in each of these categories. But this is a really important and ambitious vision that's been had. I want to highlight this center phase 2, where we have these different tracks and how we would identify the challenges. And I'm just going to give an example of how X Prize does this. And I'll give the example of my domain, the climate and energy domain, from this year's global visioneering process. So this year in the global visioneering process, when we were looking to design prizes, and Masamba was a member of the brain trust for this, we identified various tracks that we would need to accelerate innovation on in order to achieve the vision that we had for 2050 of a sustainable, resilient global economy. And in each of these areas, we then identified experts that could identify the challenges, opportunities, and needs in those spaces. And then we could design different prize concepts for them. Now, not all of these are going to become prizes, but this is the process that we use. We identify the tracks, we identify opportunities in those spaces, and then we have a process to cull these down. We would want to do the same thing for this city's prize effort. We would identify these areas that I've had, we would form a brain trust, and then we would identify the prizes that we could design and how we would design them in order to achieve significant advances in these areas. So the next steps are to develop a global request for information so that we can understand how to motivate cities to get involved in phase 1. We need to develop the sponsorship for the container components that would support phase 1. And that would also support the development of a brain trust to proceed through a global visioneering process to identify the types of prize concepts that would come out of all of these different areas. So I'm happy to be here, and I'll turn it back over to Masamba. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David, for this presentation that gives an overview of the different steps of the city challenge. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Mayor Lee, the mayor of the city of Pohang, so that he shared with us the perspective of cities. So we would like to organize a challenge for cities. It is good for us to have the perspective of cities, whether this is relevant and what are their expectations from this challenge.
실질적으로 조금 전에 우리 발표하는 걸 들었다시피 대부분의 사람들이 도시에 살고 있기 때문에 도시를 펼치는 거에 따라서 그 도시민들의 실질적으로 느끼는 그런 기후변화에 대한 문제가 곧 삶의 질하고 연결이 된다고 생각합니다. 그래서 내 삶의 질을 개선하는 것이 기후변화에도 도움이 되고 또 결국은 그것이 우리 인류 전체에 큰 도움이 된다는 그런 그 공감대가 형성될 수 있도록 그렇게 지속적으로 도시 간의 정보를 계속 공유하고 특히나 그 우수 사례, 베스트 프랙티스에 대해서 이렇게 세계 각 도시가 함께 공감할 수 있는 그런 기회를 많이 만들어 주셨으면 좋겠습니다. 그냥 단순히 UN 기구에서 돈을 받아서 또는 뭐 한 나라에서 뭐 지원을 받아서 이렇게 이루는 것보다도 자발적인 동기를 그 도시가 가질 수 있도록 그래서 자체적으로 해나갈 수 있는 의지를 불러일으킬 수 있도록 방법론을 가르쳐 주는데 중점을 뒀으면 좋겠습니다. 물론 이제 예산 집행도 그런 방법론을 가르치는데 집중이 돼야 되지 않느냐. 단순히 그것을 지원을 해서 그냥 나오는 그러한 결과보다도 방법론을 가르쳐주고 그 도시가 직접적으로 기후변화에 앞장서는 여러 가지 일들을 할 수 있도록 그렇게 분위기를 만들어 나가는 게 좋을 것 같습니다.
Facing our precious opportunity to taking part in this COP29 and this city challenge, first, I would like to mention that most of the people around the world living in the urban area, which means that the individual people's quality of life mostly depends on the policy of each city. So I expected a given opportunity through this city challenge, which confers that which many of the international cities may share their information regarding the sustainability of each city. And I also expect another opportunity that many international cities sympathize with the same goal for the global sustainability. And on the other hand, I expect through this city challenge, the international organization may suggest a methodology which boosts up the motivation, the spontaneous motivation for the sustainable development of many international cities. And we are, lastly, once again, I am grateful for your allowance for taking part of our city to this precious session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Lee. Now I would like to give the floor to the CEO of JESI, which is an association of tech companies at the side of solution provider. Mr. Lunoves, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Masamba, and good morning to everybody. So as Masamba mentioned, so I represent here a global trade association that brings together the biggest digital technology companies in the world. So what I used to say, the big sharks, the Googles, the Microsofts, the Amazons, and so on. And so in our organization, we have been working on for 20 years now on the intersection between technology and sustainable development. And our work focused very much how digital technologies really can contribute for sustainability, for climate change in all its dimensions. So when it comes to the city, and I was looking to your slide and to the different aspects that the X Prize is looking at covering in terms of what we are talking about here. So all the dimensions are part of our work. So it's about resilience, it's about bringing down CO2 emissions, it's about circularity. So it's all about how do we can live better in cities, because we all understand that we are moving, citizens to live in cities. So I heard the number of 80% of people living in cities. Just 2 days ago, I was in another meeting and I listened that in China now 65% of the citizens, they already live in cities. So this is really a trend, and moving all of us to the city environment brings lots of different challenges that need to be addressed if we want to keep the planet on a sustainability track. Therefore, an initiative like this is extremely important, because really triggers and motivates cities also to think and in this sustainability direction, sustainability mindset. And it is my view that digital infrastructure will be at the core of all of this, because the digital infrastructure is the enabler to resolve many of the challenges that we are facing. So you think about energy, mobility, waste management, resilience of cities. So all these dimensions are intertwined and dependent on a good digital infrastructure. If you do not invest on digital, it will be almost impossible to ensure the sustainability of a city. And therefore, we at GSE are very committed to be part of this initiative, to support the UNFCCC, Masamba's initiative, and be part of this, and motivate different stakeholders, the private sector, to engage, because this will be triggering innovation. This will be motivating a different mindset to accelerate the deployment of the solutions that will ensure the sustainability of the city environment. So in this connection, we have been working also with the European Commission. In the last 2 years, we have developed a methodology to measure the net positive impact of digital solutions, because it's very important. So we deploy a solution, but the solution needs to be built. So there is a supply chain behind it. So there are carbon emissions behind it. Then when you deploy the solutions, you are again emitting solutions, but the solution needs to be net positive. So if the solution is not net positive, you are deploying something that is bringing more stress to the city environment. And so we worked during 2 years with the European Commission developing the methodology that is measuring the net positive impact of digital technologies in the city environment. That means connected with energy, buildings, mobility, logistics. And so we have the instrument that can allow us, also can help the X Prize to better understand what are the solutions that really are contributing to reducing the stress in the context of the city environment. And in this connection, the next 2 years, we will be working in deploying this methodology as well. So I think there is, Masamba, here a win-win situation whereby through the project that we are continuing to developing in Jesse, we will be working with 15 cities in the next 2 years to deploy the digital solutions using the methodology to try to understand which of those solutions will be really contributing to the sustainability of the city. The other thing that we are starting, it's a pilot project in a Portuguese city in Braga. It's interesting because Braga won just yesterday the prize for the best sustainable city in Europe. So they got from the European Commission an award of €500,000. They were considered the best city in Europe. And Jesse and Braga, we will be deploying a pilot project that brings together the digital infrastructure with the energy infrastructure. So we want to understand how these two infrastructures can better bring a sustainable dimension to the city environment as well. And so these are real applications that can help to better frame this prize that we are putting together, or Masamba, you are putting together. And from a Jesse perspective, we are very supportive of this initiative. It's extremely important that cities are the place where we live with quality, where we can breathe without having an health problem. So we have many challenges that need to be addressed, and I'm deeply convinced that digital infrastructure, digital technologies will be fundamental to accelerate better living conditions in cities. I was looking at one of your slides, looking at all those buildings with trees, which I found very funny because when I was a kid, I don't know if you remember Tarzan, which was a man. Tarzan was living in a tree. So the man was living in a tree. Now we have buildings where we put the trees where we live. So somehow we are going in the wrong direction, right? So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Luis, for your intervention. Digital technology for us is extremely important because we always say that the green transition will need to be a twin digital and green transition. And I think for digital technologies companies, this city initiative will be something important because at the end of the day, what we want is to promote a vision-driven approach to innovation. For that, we need to create a market for innovative solution. And what we expect is that by launching a challenge among cities, cities will contribute if they want to meaningfully participate to this challenge. They will contribute in creating a very important demand for climate and sustainability innovation. They will contribute in creating a sustainable market, and digital technology will have a key role to play in that market. Now, I would like, before coming to you, Matthias, to go to our participants that are virtual and give the floor first to Mr. Yahweh Samuel, council member, the political and technical committee of RACE, who is a climate change expert. Mr. Yahweh, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Greetings from Uganda, Rakai. This is a very wonderful topic when it comes to cities, because when you look at the city challenge, it is long overdue. We all know and accept that cities face a lot of challenges and problems, but at the same time, cities in their own capacities have the solutions to the challenges that they really face. Under this, the challenge is so much needed that it will spark new ideas for cities in terms of addressing the challenges that they face, and still it will provide a platform for cities to choose which direction to take. When you look at cities all over the world, they are unique in their own ways. You may find that the challenge faced by city A is not so pressing like in another city. So these cities will capitalize on the most pressing challenges that they want to address. So under this city challenge, the cities will choose the directions to take, and at the end of the day, they will see which problems to address, and at the end of the day, make their cities vibrant and resilient when it comes to climate issues. Of course, we know that global challenges now, like for this city challenge, it attracts a number of participants, and we see that a number of cities have already shown interest, of which Rakai is also, when you listen from what has been presented, I want to assure you that even Rakai is so much interested in showcasing what we can address as a district local government. This will give a platform to learn from different cities. There will be capacity building, because when you look at the technologies and the new innovations that will come on board, there will be so much to learn for cities across the world. Also, there will be an opportunity, because this challenge will act as an icebreaker. You see that you may find that some cities don't know what to do, but once they see like other cities have taken action, then it will tickle their mind, and then they will be like, yeah, there is something that can be done. They will see that even what they think as impossibilities, when you take the right direction, you can actually solve some of the problems. Then under the city challenge, of course, there will be promotion of these cities, because in normal circumstances, such an initiative attracts global attention. So the participating cities will have an opportunity to promote their cities. And at the end of the day, we see that tourism and the imageability of these cities will be promoted. For example, in Uganda recently, we had a very big challenge in our capital city, Kampala. And the problem was about mobility and the bad infrastructures, the roads. So there was an online campaign that was trying to trigger the leaders of the city to take action to address the potholes. So it was widely over social media, and Kampala was termed as a city of potholes. And this triggered action from the administrators. And today we see that people can smile because most of these potholes have been fixed. So this will help to improve the imageability of the cities. And of course, there will be city collaboration. It will spark partnerships, because when you see that a city like Pohang, actually, greetings to the mayor of Pohang. I've been to Busan, but I did not get the opportunity to visit your city. Maybe under this new arrangement, there will be an opportunity for city collaboration, because when you see that a city like Pohang has something that he has implemented so well, like a best practice that can be reciprocated, like for Uganda, like a city like Rakai, we can always tap on the different knowledges and best practices, because at the end of the day, we are not only working for the cities that we live in, but we aim at improving the global agenda, like people, to create a sense of place for people, and at the end of the day, solve the global challenges. Thank you. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much for your intervention, confirming the fact that this city challenge is extremely relevant to cities and is most welcome. So I will stay at our virtual participant and give the floor to our last virtual participant, Jonas. Jonas, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Hi, Masamba. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay, perfect. I'm sending greetings from Lisbon right now. I was just yesterday moderating a session here with the mayor of Braga, Luis. So I was very happy to hear. Basically, yesterday when we are talking about also the same topic, how can cities and startups better collaborate, and what's mostly not working at the moment. He hadn't received the news as well for his award yet. He was still rooting. So I'm very happy to hear you confirm this. My name is Jonas. I've been spending probably the last 10 plus years working with city networks, EU projects on connecting smart districts, think tanks like LSE Cities, thinking about the future of mega cities. And if there's one takeaway from the last 10 years, it is that we still haven't figured out how to scale things. I don't think we have so much of a problem of not having enough solutions. I think we have seen through new business models, through startup and even venture capital over the last 5 years, massively backing interesting approaches when it comes to solving old problems in cities. I think the money's there. We are talking about not just a billion, we are talking in the billions of private venture capital that's flowing in a lot of those things. We have open source innovations, we have decentralized Web3 applications, we have hard first of a kind type of factories that are being built all over the place to innovate down the green premium. I think the scaling of the solutions will eventually come via the market. And I think what we still need to do is do our homework on the demand side. So one of my frustrations over the last 10 years, because I've, working with entrepreneurs, listening to them, learning from their problems, basically their daily frustrations and working with cities, is the system is not set up in a way that it favors new ideas. It favors incumbents. Public procurement is broken around the world. And basically that is, the point where a city challenge format can come in because it provides a more flexible way, not just of procuring when you already know what you don't know, right? It's very hard to procure that. But it's basically an invitation to learn. And it's an invitation to learn for the public sector, for the stakeholders that make up a city, to learn what's out there. In Europe, in theory, we call this innovative procurement partnerships. It's supposed to be the standard to do a market analysis. I think as of 2017, municipalities are supposed to do this. Well, we work a lot with municipalities and with their leaders, and they cry to us on the other shoulder, and they say, look, we have no capacity, we have no clue what's out there, let alone do we have the insight what is worth investing in and what is not. And I think this is where we need to fix the problem. This is where we need to bring and use formats like city challenges, test beds, sandboxes, you name it, to use them as learning opportunities on both sides. Because I think if it's not abundantly clear, it's also for the founders to learn something. It's for the financiers to be courageous and to learn something with new business models. And it's something for the public sector to learn from. And I think we need to approach this task. It can be bold, but we need to approach it with humility and courage, in the sense that it is, at the end of the day, leadership transformation. It is a revolution of mindset. There was one of the keynotes yesterday here by the Secretary General of the Club of Rome, making that point. We have everything we need. We need to start thinking completely differently about it. And so this is one of the reasons why we recently launched, actually just last week as well, but this summer started working with the city of Lisbon as our first city, creating a platform specifically for cities to host their challenges, but also to basically change the fragmentation on the demand side. There's so many activities that cities are already doing where we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but nobody knows where they happen. And it's basically a directory of problems. And I would encourage us to build on all that work that has been done. I don't think we have enough time for doing more planning. I think it's a time of execution, it's a time of speed, and we need to be rethinking the rules we've given ourselves to govern our cities in the service of fixing the problem for citizens.
Thank you, Jonas, for your intervention. Very much appreciated. You also insisted on the focus that is needed at the demand side on cities, and this city challenge can contribute in reinforcing this focus on the demand side. I will come to Matthias Bonsel, CEO of Viventure, to have his perspective. Thank you. Good morning. You have the floor, Matthias.
Thank you, Masamba, and good morning, everyone. The great pleasure to work with you and this Global Innovation Hub. As venture partners, we have initiated a strong partnership between the Global Innovation Hub and the German Council Association. The German Council Association represents 300 counties in Germany and about 70% of the population. Almost every one of these districts is implementing a project in the Global South in the field of climate change and sustainability, projects in the areas of energy, education, and also social aspects. We want to live within this cooperation the idea of a hub. Many of these projects are successful and can also be implemented in other regions of the world. This is our idea. We started, Masamba, and we tried to implement this in other regions. Two examples for projects. The district of Vorpommern-Greifswald, it's in northern Germany at the Baltic Sea. And the Mele Group have implemented the biogas project in Brazil together with the GIZ and the KfW Bank in Germany, which helps to reduce the dramatic pollution and CO2 emissions caused by excessive livestock production nearby Toledo. 6 weeks ago, we had a systemic innovation workshop in Brazil, together with the Global Innovation Hub, and discussed how we can implement this project and other similar projects. In the room, they just had to go, the vice president of the German County Association and the mayor of Mubende in Uganda. They presented their project yesterday and the day before. If all of these solutions in these 300 counties can be transferred to only 3 other regions in the world, in the Global South, we would have nearby 1,000 projects which help to reduce CO2 pollutions, which help to be more sustainable. And this is, for me, the core idea of the hub, to have not only to develop projects and innovative projects, but to help successful projects to be transferred to all over the world. And 3 is not so much. If we have 4, 5, 10 times transferred, we will have a really impactful movement. One of the key challenges we have in all the projects, and I think all of you would or have also this experience, it's not easy to finance such projects. I think this is one of the core topics we have, and it's a core topic of this COP. We have to look how we can finance interesting projects as an innovative project and how we can transfer it and how we can finance the transfer to other regions of the world. I'm looking forward to fruitful discussion now and to fruitful cooperation with all of you, and really happy to be part of this community, of this strong community, and wish us the most possible success to create more sustainable world. Thank you, Masamba, and all of you.
Thank you, Matthias, for bringing the perspective of counties. This is also very important because we would like not only to support big cities, but also to support counties and more generally all human settlement. Welcome, Freedom. Now I would like to give the floor to Freedom Kai Phillips. Deloitte is also one of the partner of the Global Innovation Hub in most of its activities, and particularly we are looking forward to also collaborate with them in this city challenge. Freedom is the director of Deloitte Center for Sustainable Progress. So Freedom, if you can share your perspective on this city challenge, to what extent it's relevant to Deloitte and the work that we are doing, to what extent it is aligned with your vision, and to what extent also it's aligned with some of the experience that you have already in implementing things that are similar to this. In pilot tests, I know that you have already done something, or you have been involved in a consortia that did something already in San Francisco, similar to what we are trying to do, at least that can serve as a pilot test. And we are looking forward to replicate globally how all these things could be, let's say, linked and put together is also something important for us. So your perspective on the city challenge.
Lovely. Thank you, Masamba, and thank you to our distinguished colleagues here. What a privilege to be joining you at COP29 to discuss the launch of the City Challenge. It's such a rare privilege where you bring together the ecosystem necessary with the thinking, the momentum, as Matthias said, the need to help mobilize that finance. That can't come from any one particular challenge or one particular area, but I think we have a really incredible area of opportunity here. From some of our work in the Deloitte Center for Sustainable Progress, we've taken a look at some of the cost of action and the areas where there's opportunity. One of the things that we've seen is that there's a $270 trillion gap between moving slowly on climate change versus aggressively leaning in. Again, kind of echoing this point on the area of opportunity. We understand that the cost of the energy transition between now and 2050 is in excess of 200 trillion, and that by optimally deploying finance, in particular catalytic finance, you can save roughly 25% of that cost. So by being together as an ecosystem, by working together and learning from our past experiences, that can help galvanize some of the actions and the deployment of technology that's necessary. For the City Challenge, there's such a unique perspective that cities can bring. They're a microcosm of what nation states feel. It's a lot more aligned in terms of the drivers and dynamics, and you can share lessons learned across jurisdictions, be that north, south, 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 or south, north, to be able to draw together the lessons and tools that can actualize a sustainable future for all of us in a much more rapid fashion. The bold vision that you've articulated, Masamba, with our stakeholders and colleagues here, being able to put forward a 10-year vision around what sustainable cities could look like. This is so rare, where you get to not only articulate, but then actualize those solutions. Working in collaboration with XPRIZE, being able to do solution-specific mobilization of technologies, and being able to mobilize that finance, not just on a solution scale, but on a global scale over a decade. This is something that requires all of us in terms of our collective action. And in Deloitte, we get to have the opportunity to bring the best of our firm to bear to address the world's most complex challenges and to build the partnerships and collaborations necessary to do that, which is why it's such an honor to be able to work with you, Masamba, and our colleagues in the Global Innovation Hub to do so. Some of our initial experiences are drawn from the Earthshot Prize, led by Christiana Figueres, and every year they launch 5 key projects, then are coupled with finance and professional services to help actualize those solutions. Some of our work with Yes Cities, where we started with San Francisco and are subsequently moving internationally to be able to, again, bring together that ecosystem of technologies, finance, and relationships necessary to articulate that vision and then actualize that vision. And of course, utilizing the Sustainable Development Goals as our underlying priorities, our underlying common framework for understanding and design of what these frameworks could look like. This aligns very well with your threefold mission of caring, sharing, and daring. Because I think at the end of the day, this is the kind of mentality that we need to adopt. When we sit and we talk about being able to articulate and then actualize a Paris-aligned pathway, it seems somewhat daunting at times. And I can appreciate that. But what I would tell you is I would start with a very famous quote, which is, "Sure I am that this day we are masters of our fate, that the task which has been set before us is not beyond our strength, that its plagues and toils are not beyond our endurance. All we need is faith in our cause and an unconquerable will to win, and victory will not be denied us." This is the beauty of being able to collaborate with such exceptional individuals, is we come together under that common ideal with that courage to be able to mobilize the solutions that are necessary and to be able to commit ourselves between now over the next decade to actualize those, to be able to actualize that sustainable future for all of us. So thank you all.
Thank you, Freedom. This is really a privilege to have the opportunity to collaborate with you and Deloitte in this very important initiative. You have the vision. We are completely aligned on that. And also, I think you have the moonshot mindset to be with us in this project. So thank you. And really looking forward to this collaboration. So now I would like to come back to Mr. Mayor. So we are designing city challenge. So it will be really important to understand the perspective of cities because this challenge is for them. So it's about putting a price as incentive instrument, but also it's about enabling cities so that they can implement climate and sustainability action because they need to have the capability. One thing is to have the willingness, another thing is to have a capability. So what are the action or the type of support you can expect from this consortium that will facilitate not only your willingness, but also your capability to implement climate action? Yeah, so the question is, for cities to participate meaningfully with this city challenge, they need to have the capability. What are your expectations? What type of support? What is it that you are expecting from this city challenge to not only incentivize action, but also enable you to implement action on the ground?
우선 우리의 가장 큰 경험은 이제 이 환경이 자체적으로 많이 나빠져 있던 부분, 대기, 수질, 그다음에 토질, 오염, 토양 오염 이런 부분에 있어서 우리가 했던 이 구체적인 정책들, 그다음에 그 방법들 뭐 이런 부분에 대해서 공유를 할 수가 있고요. 또 현재 제철 산업 중심으로 있던 것을 새로운 신산업 위주로 이렇게 산업을 전환시킨 단기간에 전환시켜 나가는 그러한 과정들 이런 부분이 또 될 수가 있고요. 또 시간이 이거는 많이 걸리겠지만은 제철 산업 과정에서 많은 탄소가 배출하니까 세계적으로 지금 제철 산업을 많이 하고 있는데 그 부분에 대해서 탄소를 적게 배출하는 그 방법을 지속적으로 우리 포항에 있는 포스코와 또 중앙정부, 우리 지방정부가 함께 노력을 해서 이렇게 계속적으로 나아가고 있는 그러한 제철 산업 공정 개선 방향, 특히 나중에 이제 궁극적으로 하이드로젠을 활용을 해서 완전히 탄소를 전혀 배출하지 않는 그런 데까지 이제 가는 전 과정을 우리가 집중적으로 지금 연구를 하고 있으니까 그것이 성공을 한다면은 그러한 부분에 대해서도 장기적으로 우리가 세계 여러 제철 산업을 하고 있는 도시와 함께 공유를 해서 탄소 중립과 관련된 목표를 달성하는 데 우리가 좀 더 기여를 할 수 있지 않겠나 이렇게 생각합니다.
I would like to focus on the betterment of our local industry, which may contribute for the decarbonization for the betterment of this planet. As you know, we would like to, through this event of the City Challenge, would like to share our experiences accumulated during the procession of our development along half a century. The steel manufacturing industry is the basis of our local industrial structure, and we would like to focus on the conversion to more the new growth industrial sectors. And we also would like to focus on the diminution of the carbon emission in our local area to achieve our goal. We hope to expand the collaboration with POSCO, the local steel manufacturer of our local area, and Korean national government as well. And we are strive for the cut off of the carbon emission in our local area through researching the hydrogen reduction process during the procession of our steel manufacturing. If we succeed in our endeavor, it may contribute to the betterment of the steel industry, or the global steel industry, in terms of the sustainable development of this planet. Thank you.
좀 보태서 저희들이 단기적으로 바로 이렇게 다른 도시들하고 이렇게 함께 보여줄 수 있는 측면이나 이런 것은 우리가 지금 탄소를 적게 배출하고 또 생태계를 복원하는 그러한 작업들을 집중적으로 하고 있는 분야가 있거든요. 우리가 하고 있는 그린웨이, 포항 그린웨이 프로젝트라고, 거기서 특히 그 하천을 도시가 아주 단기간에 제철 산업으로 급격하게 성장을 했기 때문에 그에 필요한 그 도시의 소규모 하천들, 그 하천들을 전부 콘크리트로 덮어서 그것을 도로로 활용하고 이런 부분이 많았는데, 그거를 가능한 한 빨리 완전히 아스팔트를 걷어내고 우리 수생태계를 완전히 복원하는 그러한 작업을 해서 이것을 우리 도시민들의 정주 여건을 향상시키는 것뿐만 아니라 세계적으로도 그런 도시가 많을 거니까 그 부분에 대한 성과와 방법을 확실하게 보여주고 싶은 그 마음이 있습니다. 그래서 그게 필요한 부분에 있어서 우리 UGIH가 재정을 좀 도와준다든지 또는 여러 가지 이렇게 디지털화 시켜서 우리가 해나가는 부분에 있어서 관심을 가지고 추후에 저희들이 제안할 그런 부분에 대해서 이렇게 좀 도와준다면은 우리가 빨리 그 결과물을 성과물을 낼 수도 있고 더 많은 개도국에게 그것을 전파하는데 또 그런 가능성 목표를 가질 수 있게 하는데 큰 도움이 될 수 있을 것 같습니다.
I also would like to suggest one of the achievement of our local government, which has achieved in short term. Recently, we have strived for the restoration of we have strived for the achievement of one of our main project, which is called Pohang Greenway, which includes the restoration of the ecosystem, especially the restoration of the urban streams which run across our urban area. These streams used to be covered with asphalt during several decades in purpose of our industrial development plan, and our local government got rid of this asphalt from this area, and we strive for restore these streams, including the aquatic ecosystem as well. And if we can be supported, if we can be conferred any of the support from UGIH, not only in financial support, but also the digitalizing methodology that you have mentioned, it will be helpful for us to share our experience to outside the world for the benefit of the rest of the international cities. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this contribution. I would like now to share the same question to Mr. Yahweh Samuel. So this is a challenge for cities. It's about incentivizing cities, but it's also about enabling them, giving them capability to contribute. Because one thing, as I have mentioned, is to be willing to contribute. Another thing is to have the capability. What are your expectations? What the city challenge could do to enhance the capabilities of cities so that they can meaningfully participate to this challenge? Mr. Samuel, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. When you look at cities across the world, cities have over time tried so much to solve the in-house problems that they have. Now that we have this city challenge, what we expect as cities from you is that we need to create that kind of bonding between cities. Cities in most cases feel left out of place. But now that if we have this city challenge, we need to come together and see that we are working towards a global goal. This will trigger cities like Rakat to always think and come up with innovative and sustainable solutions. For the case of Rakat, we see that we can assure you that we've over time tried to develop ideas, but because of different challenges, these have not really been implemented. First, because of the knowledge gap in terms of the digital technologies. Second, the financing bit of it. Being a local government that comes from a developing world, we are so much constrained by the finances to always implement some of our projects and the ideas that we always develop. A case in point would be like Rakai, we have come up with a project that looks in solving climate-related issues, and this is dubbed the case of wise land development. And we are looking at land use planning and development control. This will help us contain most of the problems that are found in most of our urban areas. And if we can have the right technologies that we can tap from maybe the advanced cities that are using certain technologies that we can reciprocate and probably emulate and use it back home to solve certain problems, then it will be a plus on our side and maybe other cities. Training and incubation of ideas. At times, cities have good ideas, but that they lack the needed expertise. But if, like Rakai comes up with an idea, the city challenge can help develop further the idea so that it can really make much more bigger sense in that case. Also, we think for this to really be of a better use, it should be people-centered and global, with a global outlook. In most cases, when you bring an initiative majorly focusing on city, the city dwellers, in most cases, because of their mindset, they leave everything to the technocrats and the leadership. But if we can make the city dwellers own some of these initiatives, then it will be so much easy to implement some of the technologies and the innovations, because they will feel like they're part of the development. Thank you so much.
Very important point, collaboration among cities, and also support in terms of expertise, as well as involving cities, not only starting from their needs, but also involving them in the process so that implementation can be facilitated. So now I would like to give the floor to our last speaker, but not the least. Thank you for being with us, because I understand that you just came now, so you came directly to the session from the airport. So Mr. Puriya Salehi is the head of Urban Research, Innovation and Development team in ICLE, Local Government for Sustainability. So Puriya, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Masamba, and good morning, everyone. And yes, my badge is just printed hot off the press, so I managed to get on the panel and join to all these wonderful panelists and you all. Someone knows that my heart is set on this City Challenge initiative, and it's simply because it is a very meaningful, well-thought initiative that if we collectively manage to get it done together throughout the decade, it can certainly create the impact that we are looking for. So I think when it comes to this challenge, and particularly this session, I really like that we are looking into the interdependencies between urban and rural areas, because oftentimes you're only focusing on urban areas, knowing that urban areas are relying on rural areas for their resources. 70% of the food globally produced is originating from rural areas. And the rural areas need urban areas for their market and as market, but also as a place to receive other type of resources, right? So looking into the interdependencies between urban and rural areas is a key aspect that this challenge, this initiative is looking into, which certainly can help this initiative thrive down the line. And I think another value of the City Challenge for us ICLEI as the largest and longest established global network of cities is the fact that we are going to co-identify challenges with cities and co-design solutions with cities. And when we say with cities, it means not only the local government, but also all the stakeholders within the cities to the full deployment and also to transferring those solutions. I heard from the Lord Mayor of Pohang about the solutions and initiatives and industrial legacy city. And it happens that currently the city of Kaohsiung in Chinese Taipei is also trying to find solutions from the industrial legacy cities to help them in their journey in the climate action and net zero journey. And they are putting together a community of practice, which right after this panel, I'm going to invite the Lord Mayor to join this movement. There is an event later in March next year in Kaohsiung, the Smart City Expo. So exactly what we are doing hand in hand with UNFCCC Global Innovation Hub is to find cities with similar challenges, but also similar solutions that they can offer to each other. And when you look into the design of the city challenge, it's a decade-long $1 billion initiative that is not only looking to the end result, unlike many initiatives, but looking from the entire process of the innovation throughout this journey. And us as ICLEI, we are not only willing to bring our network and mobilize cities to join this challenge, but also we would love to mobilize resources through this challenge to the cities, particularly to the under-resourced cities, but then also help bring visibility to the implementable, actionable solutions with high replication potential in other areas and making sure that these solutions are exported globally. Which means that then collectively we can create the impact that we are looking for to keep the world on track towards climate targets that we set, but also towards sustainability targets. So I'm just here to reiterate our interest and support to this city challenge and count on us to be part of this journey hand in hand with all of you. Thank you.
Very much appreciated. So it's very important for us to have on board the organization of cities, because you are the one mobilizing them, you are the one bringing them on board, and you are their voice here. So very pleased to hear from you that this challenge is extremely relevant for you, and this is something that could make difference for the coming years. Now, maybe a last round of questions before we close this session. I just would like to have your view very quickly on two elements. What is the value addition that your organization can bring to the city challenge? And what is also the value addition that you can expect from this challenge? Because we really would like to design the challenge with an innovative business model that enable all entities that are participating to contribute in creating value, but also to be able to get value out of the challenge. Maybe starting with you, Luis, the tech companies.
Thank you, Masamba. Well, I've been following the debate, and I was thinking about something that we have not touched upon, which is related with the fact that the technological developments that we are seeing taking place will impact all this conversation that we are taking here. So if you think about the innovations that will come to the market very fast, derived from AI, generative AI, this will bring dimensions to this challenge that we have not touched upon in this conversation. And that might be helpful for the city challenge as well. So the contribution that we can bring is that knowledge-based, which is enshrined in our membership. And the other contribution that we can bring is the measurement component or the scientific component that gives credibility to the challenge as well. Because one thing is that to say, well, I have this solution or that is contributing or that can, speed up the sustainability dimension of the city environment. The other thing is that how do I prove that? So you need to measure the impact. You need to understand the impact. Because if you are deploying at scale, because it's the objective of the X Prize as well. So if you deploy at scale, the deployment at scale needs to be net positive, right? So, this is one of the contributions we can bring. The other contribution that we can bring is that most of the things connected with this X Prize will be strongly supported by digital technologies and digital infrastructure. And we can bring the different components which are part of the city together. And I mentioned to you the Braga project that we are having with bringing the digital infrastructure with the energy infrastructure. But when you think about digital and energy, you interconnect with mobility, you interconnect with buildings, you interconnect with waste management, you interconnect with water management. So all these components are brought through the digital technologies. And so we can bring that know-how, we can bring the credibility to the project. And we are really thrilled about this. I think this is a great initiative. As I said, we are very supportive and we will be engaging. I think it's important to design it very well, so we make sure that the final outcome it will be successful. I was listening to the mayor talking about POSCO. We have a huge project with POSCO between NEC from Japan and POSCO. We are working together with POSCO, whereby digital technologies are helping POSCO to be, more sustainable company. So these are the type of collaborations that we can undertake and that we can work. And as I said, to conclude, we will be very happy to be part of this and very supportive, Masam, and thanks for having us together with you and to you, David, as well.
Thank you so much for this contribution, Luis. Now I would like to give the floor to Jonas, virtual participation, before we come back to this, to the physical participant and close. So Jonas is partner of Urban Impact Agency. So you have the floor. So you heard me, my two questions. What is the value that your organization can create for this challenge? And what is it that you are expecting as value creation for your organization from this challenge?
Thank you, Masamba. I think, I think we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Those city challenges as a format have been around for a good part of 10 years. Last week, when we launched our city challenge platform, we did it together with the Bloomberg Philanthropies Mayor's Challenge. They just have an ongoing call with 25 cities to be funded with $1 million each. I think there are probably dozens of similar things out here. I think the big opportunity for this UN initiative is really to, and X Prize and all these amazing partners here that have come together, is to make sure we use it as an opportunity to bundle the demand side, to get different cities to share the same problems, because most cities share the same problems. They're different. They have a different DNA, a different culture, different governance system, but they share the same problems. And that on this level of shared problems, we can come up with cohorts of cities getting support from this. And that means they can learn together by scouting together, by seeing what's out there. They can learn from each other's mistakes. So, what I would like to offer is, that decade of experience working on this, but I think also we can help promote it through our City Solutions portal, and just helping to create those peer communities of cities to learn together and bring them in sync with the early stage innovators that are so badly struggling to get in touch with them. So for me, it's about common purchasing, frameworks when it comes to a global city challenge. And yeah, just looking forward to what we can mobilize, in the coming years.
Thank you, Janos. Now I will turn to you, Freedom. The same question.
Thank you very much. So what do we hope to bring? I think at first is access to the network, a network of clients, a network of professionals, a network of experience dealing with the most complex issues with the most complex organizations globally. I just left our pavilion where we have a finance panel going on right now with representatives of Deutsche Bank, Bank of America, KfW. These are the people that we work very closely with on the financial sector. We work very closely with governments of all sizes and all scales. So being able to bridge the networks necessary, the conversations necessary, being able to bring the leaders to the table that can understand the vision that you've articulated, Masamba, the great ambition of our colleagues and stakeholders. I think that's one very critical aspect, because to be able to do this, often success is grounded in relationships, and I think that's one very critical aspect. The second is technology and solutions. We work very closely with a wide spectrum of alliances, as you're familiar, the Googles, the SAPs, the Microsofts, the being able to take Earth observation data or various technologies and solutions that have been deployed with organizations or with cities or subnational governments, and being able to right size those for the cities. This shortcuts some of the aspects of the city challenge. We're able to portray a library of solutions that they can then immediately have access to, that have already been implemented, that have already been tested, that have already been actualized in real life. That, I think, is a second element that what we would want to bring. And in terms of what are we hoping to get out of it, nothing more than our friendship and our collective moving in the right direction, right? It is only through our collective action that we're able to bring forward these sustainable development priorities. That is our purpose-driven mission, and being able to take the work with our clients and the work with our technologies and solutions and put that forward in something that's a meaningful way, that is payment enough.
Thank you, Freedom. Now I will turn to Matthias.
Masamba. Yeah, I think we can bring in formats that really creates projects with design thinking methods and co-creation methods, and to get more and more concrete, and to bring in these formats partners together who create real projects with a real impact to climate change and sustainability. And we create formats like conferences, or we both together created this systemic innovation workshop in Brasilia. I think there's much more possible than we do now, and we should have a broad range of formats and events next year to communicate that climate change still stays on top of the priorities. I think we have in the changing governments the problem that climate change is not on top, and we should all look for that climate change will stay on top and not be one of the topics we have as a world. And yeah, I expect that we be successful. As this strong community, we are one of the most impactful group that can deliver this. And so I expect that we all together be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. Maybe David, before I close with Korea. David.
Well, I would just add, and this is very good, one of the things that's really great about the concept you have for this Masamba is that this is a mechanism to make transparent all of the ambitions of the participating cities from around the world. This is an opportunity for all of the participating cities in this challenge to be able to see what their contemporaries are thinking, and it will cause them to elevate their ambition, to make what they are striving for more visionary, more future focused, more sustainable and resilient than what they imagine is possible now. And the support that XPRIZE can bring to that is that as part of that second phase, they know that the ambitions that they have when they develop their plans, which will become transparent, will be used to design the types of innovation challenges that will allow them to achieve that broad vision. It is a way of democratizing the necessary innovation globally. And as Jonas mentioned earlier when he was speaking about the opportunity for other cities to, learn from others' mistakes and other things, this mechanism of a global cities challenge, like I said, allows the transparency for lessons to be learned in real time and shared challenges that are identified by different cities to be tackled together. So that's the exciting thing, and we look forward to the partnership.
I say that one of the challenges that we are facing when it comes to climate and sustainability is the fact that we have a mindset when we are setting goal and target that focus on what is possible. Most of the time, entities are not ambitious because they set their goal and target on the basis of their understanding of what is possible to be credible, because they consider that if they do not do that, they are not credible. And I think one of the most important aspects of this challenge is that it gives an incentive for cities to set their goal and target not on the basis of their understanding of what is possible, but based on their understanding of what is needed to have a meaningful participation in the challenge, knowing that the gap between the goal that they will set and their current capability will be filled at the second phase. I think this is really a very important aspect. Puriya?
Thanks so much. It's certainly an honor to be the last, but not the easiest one, right? I think ICLEI wants to be part of this for that same slogan you have it there for caring, sharing, and daring. Some of you know that our annual flagship event is called Daring Cities, right? So I think it says it all, right? So we are here not only to leverage our network of more than 2,500 cities and local governments, which accounts for 20% of the global population, by the way, but also to support other cities' engagement in this initiative, right? So it's not only exclusive to our network, rather we want to extend it to any city that is interested in. But more importantly, we understand how cities work may be sort of hindered by different limitations. And there's a power in aggregated resource and a pool of resources that no one single city can possess. And this is a space through which we can put together and pull together a pool of resources for the cities. The other one is, and obviously when I say we are not separate from cities, you're just representing the cities. And then also what our colleague mentioned about documenting solutions, which I really liked, and showcasing and transferring the best practices, but also work with all the solution providers and cities for the next practices, right? I remember, for example, well, we have Luis here as a very leading figure in the world of tech and tech-related solutions. But I remember when blockchain technology came in, many of the people active in sustainability and climate arena were very sort of, pessimist about it, if you wish. But nowadays we see that it is not only cryptos or bitcoins, which, by the way, just a few days ago took over in terms of market cap from the silver, a very well-established global asset. But we see that blockchain-based solutions are being leveraged from Canada to Turkey and from Ngome in Tanzania to Philippines and from York in the UK to very same cities in Korea under our network and other networks as well. So That's something that we want to push cities towards more daring solutions. And then, of course, like Eclai's expert can provide support in terms of navigating this space with cities. And what we are here is also that what we expect is a radical collaboration, right? Obviously, our network is well positioned to connect this initiative to other ongoing global initiatives to really reinforce the impact, but also ensure that we work hand in hand with different solution providers and demand owners. I don't want to call cities only demand because they also provide the solutions. But look at the lineup that we have here from X Prize. That is wonderful. They are really doing great in terms of facilitating, the action from tech solutions, from finance-related parties, and others, but also cities. And I think what we are here is to ensure we can connect the dots across the board and ensure the viability of this challenge based on a business model that is truly viable. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I would like to add that UNSDSN is also a key partner. Professor Sachs opened actually this session and delivered a keynote speech. Professor Phoebe Kandori was with us. She needed to get to another session, but they're also key partner to this process, particularly contributing in mobilizing low-cost finance for cities and also providing the tool and methodology for cities to be able to get from where they are to the vision where they would like to be in the future. Now, I would like to close with Mr. Mayor Lee. In our discussion yesterday or 2 days ago, I was telling him that he is the example of caring, sharing, and daring mayor. And I was saying that because of his vision of the future. He told me that he would like his city to become a net zero city, though it is currently a city that is emitting a lot of emission, but he would like his city to become the cleanest city and a net zero city. So I would like just to have your last word, whatever you would like to say, and we conclude this session.
Thank you. 저는 우리가 실질적으로 그러한 산업으로 인해서 우리 시민들이 피해를 입고 있었고, 그래서 그걸 고칠 필요가 있다. 환경에 대한 것도 고칠 필요가 있고, 지급 안정성 측면에서도 이렇게 고쳐야 되니까 이제 그런 것들을 직접적으로 넣겠다는 거, 나 자신을 위해서, 우리를 위해서 고쳐야 되겠다는 거, 그런 거를 확실하게 가지고, 그 다음에 결국 이렇게 하는 것이 우리 기후변화 행동에 부합돼서 우리 전지구적으로 나아가야 되는 길에도 부합된다 하는 것을 함께 깨우치는 거, 우리 시민들하고 또 우리 시 당국하고 기업들하고 함께 깨우쳐서 이제는 그게 하나의 큰 꿈이 돼서 우리 전체 공동체 모든 주체가 꿈이 돼서 이렇게 나아가는 그런 측면까지 우리는 왔다고 생각해요. 그래서 다른 다른 나라의 다른 도시들도 그렇게 함께 그렇게 가치를 느끼고 이렇게 나아갈 수 있도록 하는 그런 것들이 굉장히 중요하지 않을까 이렇게 생각하고, 지금 어느 한 나라는 예를 들어 어떤 나라는 우린 필요 없어 이렇게 하는 거, 또 다른 데서는 절박하고, 이것들도 우리 유엔기구나 또는 여러 여기 앉아 계시는 지도자를 포함해서 전 세계 지도자들이 그러한 부분들을 어쨌든 함께 깨우쳐서 이것이 결국은 우리 모두를 위한 것으로 필요하고 나아가야 된다는 그런 강한 공감대 같은 것을 우리가 함께 갖추도록 하는 게 굉장히 필요하지 않을까. 지금과 같은 시기에는 그렇게 생각합니다. 이 말을 상당히 좀 어렵게 해서 조금 미안한데 좀 잘 이해를 해주시면 고맙겠습니다. Thank you.
Due to the aftermath of our local industry, of the steel industry, actually we have met enormous the damages from the side of our residents. So I personally, I desperately feel the urgency of this sustainable issue for our entire environment. And I would like the action that we will take for the betterment of our future can be in concordance with global standard. And I strongly hope that many of the international cities put their steps together with the course that we are pursuing. And I also, it is necessary that many of the national or local leaders formalize the strong bondage with our city. That's my final statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of you, to our panelists that are participating physically and those that are participating virtually. Thank you to our participant here and our virtual participant. And I will invite you to provide a round of applause to our panelists.